Okay, people, we've had almost 2 hours of technical challenges, which have been wonderfully solved by Heather, but not so much by me. So I look all blurry, but it's okay. This is Angela's Caches, and this is one of my favorite guests, Heather Scherter. And I wrote something.
Did you need to say that, Angela?
Oh.
Did you actually mean to say that? That's that bloody Lisa
Radley. This is Heather Brown.
Introduce my friend as well. It's my rock from my garden with my microwaves.
No.
Introduce my friend, the rock.
No.
With the rock.
No, I have studied a little bit of targeting, and I've read a book. I've reviewed a book that's just been launched called Forbidden Technology, and they can do amazing things. They can.
Yeah, but if you know about counter technology, counter techie, nobody can do anything to you.
Well, I think if you know about spiritual warfare, you can deflect it.
If you know about this as well, if you've any background in Wicca, you would know about this. So you would know. But with technology, if you have worked for a long time with computers, you will know how to just go in and fix everything. And people will look at you and think, oh, you're an old duck, how would you know this? But actually, I do know. Surprising to many people who think I'm dumb as this rock. I do actually know. But that was a good one, Heather shared.
Well, that's because you were telling me just before we started recording, you were telling me that Lisa Radley thought I was going to be doing a show with David Scherter. And
she was mental when she published that, actually. He was going mad. He said, I have no scheduled appointments. I would never appear with that Angela Disney woman. This and that. So I did bring his friend, because David can't be here to speak to you, Lisa. So I brought his friend, The Rock.
Well, I might need to toughen up, but I've never spoken badly about David, because however he presents himself, I totally believe his.
I think he needs help.
Well, I totally believe that he's a survivor. I totally believe that he's under severe pressure. I don't think he needs admitting to a mental institution and drugging up to his eyeballs. And he's been campaigning for years to get the truth out about Omaha, Nebraska, and about the finders. So I give him a lot of rope. I know he slagged me off, and he did a blog saying I was hoaxed and this, that, and the other. And, you know.
But he thinks rocks in his garden are talking to him. What is
No, it's not that. It's not that. Because I follow his work. He says 12 rocks appeared in his garden and could have been being used to beam technology for harassment, which is
not. Think so. They were ordinary rocks. They weren't crystal. They were just ordinary rocks. I don't think they can be used to beam anything. A friend of mine is an eminent geologist in Pakistan, and he was laughing at this. He was looking at this Scherter thing, and he was laughing. He said that these are ordinary stones. They can't beam anything. This is a nonsense.
Well,
I just think he's cracking. I think he thinks that he's got his something into his head about being microwaved. And
no, but I've got a friend that suffered microwave targeting for about a year, and her hair went from waist length to shoulder length. Her hair fell out. Her cat's hair fell out, and her cat actually died from it. The same targeting she was getting, the cat was getting.
Are you sure she didn't have some sort of mange?
No. It was targeting. It was blinding headaches. It was targeting. Her hair just, your hair is one of the first things that, your hair and your nails are one of the first things that will show if your health is compromised. And no, it's Morgellons. The technology would blow our minds, even as wise as we are. The technology would blow our minds that's out there. And I have read a few books, and at first I used to think, oh, do you know, that's a bridge too far, that's not possible, and how come that doesn't happen to me? I mean, I get real life targeting like burglaries or malicious actions by establishment people, or you know, court cases being run out of time deliberately by the health service, or I get very tangible targeting, and other people do get electronic targeting, and I don't disbelieve them. It's not my field of expertise, but I don't just think, oh, aren't they crazy? Because I think that's exactly what is intended for the general public to think about them, is that they're crazy. So I've never read the article that David Shurter wrote saying, you know, I'm Hampstead and this, that, and the other. And it must be fairly well viewed, because if you Google my name, it comes up quite near the top. So
I've read it.
Yeah, I've never gone to bat with him.
Yeah, not really. I mean, he's very incoherent. You can't really understand it, but I can get the gist of it that he doesn't really like it. I can get the gist of that, but he's quite incoherent. Because another one that's incoherent is that Shiva Burt, and people have actually, when she has written comments, people have written underneath it, in English, please.
Yeah.
Because she sort of is she's like she's off the planet. The words are just not even cohesive.
Somebody else contacted me today and said, oh, I've studied Shiva Burton for a few days, and I think she's a genuine survivor who's been groomed by the, you know, pedos and the trolls, and they've made her feel important and made her feel like she belongs, and she's doing great work. And she says, I feel sorry for her. I think she's a genuine survivor that's been used by the cult.
Oh no, I think she's a nasty piece of work, because she will tell other people that they never were abused. It never happened to you. It happened only to me.
Yeah, it's like projection. It's like projection.
Published on her Facebook page, she seems to think that I'm Ella Gariva. She has published a video of Ella Gariva with the song Speedy Gonzales. And underneath it, she's put, Heather's gonna love this. But what's it got to do with me? Because I have nothing to do with Ella Gariva.
Well, I sent you...
She thinks I am Ella Gariva, or she thinks I have something to do with Ella Gariva, neither of which is remotely true. I don't know. See, her mental faculties, this joining the dots, all rubbish she goes on with.
I know.
Her mental faculties are not like normal at all.
No, I know, but you see, the thing, if one wanted to waste time, the thing to discern is, are they genuinely stupid, or are they deliberately sowing disinformation to cause confusion? Because causing confusion...
I think she's barking. I mean, the nonsense. Nobody's going to... I'm on video in a lot of places. I don't look remotely like Ella Gariva. I look more like 2 or 3 Ella Garivas put together. So I don't look like Ella Gariva.
The other thing, I don't know. Their latest line is that because I've come back to Ireland, and, you know, first of all, they said I was wanted by the police and I'm being investigated.
Well, they haven't come to get you, have they? So
no, they said I was wanted by the police in the UK, Ireland, and Spain. Then they realised, all right, we better drop Spain. So they said the UK and Ireland. Now they're saying, because I'm back in Ireland, no arrest, everything's fine. Now they're saying, oh, she's a police informant, and we've got it on good authority. She's had 2 meetings with high-level police already.
They have no authority.
But you see, sometimes sowing rubbish is not because they're stupid. It could be just to cause chaos and confusion.
I just think they want to appear very important, because what they also said was, this Heather Brown person is on ancestral research site. Well, A, Heather Brown's not the name of it's not my actual name. And B, I wasn't born in the UK or Ireland, so I wouldn't be on any ancestral research site.
Yeah.
So where are they finding this? I went to the library to get a library card, and there was 375 Heather Brown.
Yeah, it's not an unusual name. I know.
So they will run after any person. Also, this carry on of, oh, well, she's related to a councillor in Belfast. No, the councillor's daughter was called Heather something. She's not called Brown, and her married name's not Brown, but I was mistaken for her. So they tried to say that I was this Heather. So they have picked up on this, and they have just repeated somebody else's mistake,
Yeah. But the question I have is, are they deliberately stupid, or is it too...
No, I think they just pick up on any old shit and repeat it, just to make themselves seem important.
Yeah. And they're getting a bit, they think they're getting a bit more clever, so now they're asking questions.
Well, they can ask what the questions are like, because they're not clever, because they're not invisible. They're are not untraceable.
Yeah, this is what we focus on. Let's find, because it made me laugh. There's lots of insults flying around about your old bag and you.
Which one, you or me?
Or me. And then slandering something.
Oh, no, because I'm the heifer. I'm a heifer, not a bag.
Yeah, and so on. But the funny thing is that they're anonymous, and I feel
they're
like, well, they're using fake names, and I would wager a bet that most of them got big fat bellies, probably got dandruff if they've got any hair, otherwise a receding hairline with a ponytail, otherwise bald, probably got bad breath, and spindly chicken legs.
Yeah, to go with it. I mean, well, yeah.
So it's like, they can't cast aspersions on people that have the courage to put their real face on the internet, and they're saying,
well, the one who she doesn't hide her identity, the Shiva Burton, we can see what she is.
Yeah, but I still think, my friend contacted me today and said, I've been studying her a little bit. I think she's a survivor that's been made a mug of. And I said, no.
Well, I think she's an old bitch. That's what I think.
Well, I think she's an undercover cop. I think she's been put in place.
I think the police would be even more stupid. I mean, they are donut hogs. They are donut. I had to call them the other day because there's an elderly lady who calls my phone number by mistake all the time. She's in her late 80s and she does hospital visiting and various things. And she's always calling up my number, mistakenly dialing my number instead of her friend's number. And she leaves messages on the answer machine saying, I won't be able to come to the funeral today, or can you meet me at X time? And I have to call her back and say, you've left a message on my answer phone, better call your friend back. Or she calls up when I'm sat here and she says, hello dear, it's only me. And I say, hello dear, it's me again. And you've called her own number again. So she just laughs. But what has happened is she has called this phone at 5:39 the other morning.
Oh God.
The phone has only rung 3.5 rings and cut off. So the next morning I got up and I thought this phone was ringing, but there was somebody mucking around outside with motorbikes. I can't prove it, but I could swear there was at that same time as the phone was ringing. And I was having this strange dream about George Michael as well, because I sort of halfway woke up and went back to sleep, and I was in this leisure centre bowling alley, and George Michael was sitting at a card table playing poker, smoking a cigar. And the sink was overflowing at the corner of the room, and I'm trying to pull the plug out because it was going everywhere, the water. And George Michael was behind me saying something to me, and I said, well, what are you bothered about? Because you're dead, you're a ghost. And he was laughing and saying, yes, I know. So this was altogether very, I got up the next day and I thought, did I imagine the phone ringing? Oh, I thought phone 1471, because you can, yeah. So no, somebody had been phoning. It was a local dialing code, and that's usually her. So I tried to call back every 10 minutes, and that was on the 4th. And I tried to call, and it was permanently engaged. Well, if your phone is off the hook, it gives a siren noise like this. You can hear it everywhere. It gives this loud noise to alert you it's off the hook. So this went into the 5th, the 6th, it was still off. I tried calling it at 3:30 in the morning because I thought, what's going on here? Engaged. I thought, this is not right. So I called the BT operator and I said, can you check the line? Because I think it's this old lady's phone number, and she called me at the early hours, and I think there's something wrong because phone's engaged, everything. Operator said to me, you'll have to call the police. So I did call the police, and the police have done nothing. Phone's still engaged, they've done nothing. She could be laying there dead or in a coma.
Or have you considered this, you know, maybe it's
Well,
not...
I'm thinking to call age concern or somebody.
Well, you could, but at the same time, is it possible that it's not a little old lady making mistakes? Is it possible it's...
No, she is a little old lady, Miss Style, and her friend's number is very similar to mine. And
Are you
she
sure?
misdialed.
Are you sure?
No, because I've spoken to her at length. She said that, oh, I'm in my late, she's 89 or something like this. Some, you know, she says, I get very confused with all this telephones and different things. She said, no, she is and she lives very near. On one occasion, she told me where she lives. It's the same dialing code as here, and it's quite near here. So, I mean, no, she dials because she leaves messages. She just leaves messages. She can't go to the funeral today for her friend, or...
I would say there's a 5% chance anyway that it's not as innocent as it seems. But you know, if you feel to call age concern, go ahead.
Well, I think there's something wrong because actually the phone's permanently engaged, and I think, why would she be calling anywhere at 20 to 6 in the morning? Why would she be calling the friend at 20 to 6 in the morning unless something was wrong?
Yeah, could be.
And I thought there's something wrong, so I called the police. What has the police done? They've done nothing. The phone's still engaged. She can be laying dead. What they're supposed to do is come and get BT to check the line. There's somebody on the phone who is engaged. Right, it's been engaged for days and days and days. It's an elderly person's phone.
Vulnerable,
okay,
yeah.
so then they can get the address and they go knocking on the door.
Yeah, that's what
they're meant to do. Because my next door neighbour in my previous property, she was laying dead in her property for about 2 weeks.
Oh,
and my dog and my cat could smell her through the vent in the chimney press.
Oh,
and howling at the chimney press. And I thought, what are you doing? He was pointing. The little poodle, and he was howling and pointing. I thought, what are you up to? They could smell her.
yeah.
She lay in the kitchen dead.
Oh, that's so sad.
These great fat police women were trying to climb over the 6'6" gates at the back of the property. And I said, why don't you just go in and break the window beside her, because the key is in the door, and open the door? No, we're not allowed to do that. I said, but you can climb up and climb over. Why would you bother to do this? They were trying to hammer in the front door with a battering ram. I said, all you need to do is break the pane of glass at the back because the key's in the door. No. They were enjoying being pigs. They were enjoying smashing the doors down.
I wonder if they've been recruiting profiled people to be in the police force because...
They just recruit big fat ignorant buggers.
Well, no, maybe, you know, because G4S and they're privatising everything, Group 4, Serco and all that. And so they're allegedly profiling people that have no empathy, that have sort of narcissistic tendencies, even psychopath tendencies.
These are police from Bexley Heath. You'd be better profiling a herd of cows, because you couldn't, because these are just rampant headbins.
Some of the Irish police, right? I love the Irish police because the country police are still a bit country, you know, and they're
like the special branch.
Their heart's right. Their heart's in the right place. Well,
the special branch.
Some of them are cult members.
They're quite twisted.
Well connected globally. But I went to report my sister's murder, and I said I'd like to report a suspected murder, and the cop said, "Is it yourself the victim?"
How could you be the victim? You know, I know exactly.
And in the midst of grief and devastation, I just thought to myself, did he just say that? Did he just?
Oh, yes. It's like the night that I collapsed in this house. I collapsed at 7:30. I was watching EastEnders and eating asparagus. And the next thing, I woke up in the floor and it was 11:30. My dog had pulled all the skin off my head, trying to get me upright. The dog was actually howling and trying to nose me upright with his face, and he'd taken the skin off my face because he'd been trying to, you know, wake me up.
Oh.
Yes, so I phoned 111, which is the NHS line, and I said, should I call an ambulance? I've been unconscious for the last 3 or so hours. Oh, are you male or female? I said, I'm female. Are you pregnant? What's your date of birth? Are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? They said, have you had a vasectomy? I said, right, I'm pregnant. Have I had a vasectomy? What the fuck are you talking about? She said, I have to read this off a form to you. I said,
This is what I'm saying. No, were you familiar with Ben Fellows?
well, I know all about this carry on because this went on at the Hippodrome years ago, where he was allegedly, well, I was a gold card member of the Hippodrome in the 80s. And I know very well what went on at the Hippodrome because there were several high-class drug importers who were Stringfellow's friends, and they were tried at Blackfriars Crown Court because I was there with somebody else and I saw them being tried. And this was in 1986. So yes, I do know what went on at the Hippodrome. It was a meat market, but it was an underage meat market, where Stringfellows was more a meat market for women.
Yeah, I got given model membership at Stringfellows. I used to go there with a sort of an Stringfellows, yeah, in the late 70s. It was before it went really seedy, the late 70s and the early 80s. And membership was about, I don't know, £600 a year. And Peter Stringfellow, I used to go there with an Essex girl, a friend of mine, whose partner ended up in the Old Bailey and got framed with Sun Alliance. It was all a big scandal. But
the Hippodrome, there was actually people. There was this old bloke who used to, because my friend and I trade.
Where was the Hippodrome?
Leicester Square.
Oh, Leicester Square. Wow.
It's now a type of gambling house. It's now a corner. It's now a type of some sort of casino type place.
Okay. Okay.
A very large place on the corner at Leicester Square.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and just up from what was the Empire Ballroom.
Right. Right. Yeah, because I used to work near there for a while.
I mean, it's such a great shame for the young people nowadays because, I mean, you could be homeless in the 80s, but you were, chic homeless. You could probably...
Yeah, there was all that squatting and everything. It was very fashionable.
No, not this type of rubbish. I mean, you could probably be wearing diamond earrings and living in a disused railway carriage where you had electricity and water connected up. And there were chic homeless people. I mean, in the mid-80s, everybody was chic. Margaret Thatcher pulled this country. I lived in till 78. I lived here in England, and the place was like exactly the song Ghost Town by the Specials. It was like this. And I was taken to Ireland in March 78 when I was 13. And I sat and I watched Margaret Thatcher. I was actually, because I was told as a child, you'll be the next Indira Gandhi. You will be the first female prime minister of this country. So this fucking woman gets elected. I was 14 and I was told, look at this. And I'm thinking, what is going on? This woman has taken my job. She's taken my job. Now what am I doing? And I was sitting there the whole day. I can remember sitting in this pink gown. I didn't even bother to get dressed. And I was sitting in this pink gown and I was thinking, now what am I going to do? This fucking woman's taken my job. I can see. Honestly. But I was a right little muggy. I mean, I had my own ironing business in Dorking and Killiney at 15 years old. I went to the centre of Dublin on a Friday and a Monday night to this music venue. From the centre of Dublin, I took minicabs back home to Killiney. And people mean, these were older people that went to these music venues. They were like, I mean, how she got this money? She just like click and hails a cab. Well, I did. Yes.
I detested Maggie Thatcher, and I still do. No, I detested her. There was talk her father was a pedophile.
No, her father was no such thing as a grocer.
Yes, well, you can be a grocer and a pedophile and a member of the Grocers Freemasonic Order. There's a special order for just grocers in the Freemasons, but also her husband was hugely
Dennis.
Dennis was
Dennis was hilarious.
And he may have been a batty old fool, but a batty old fool kiddie fiddling is not a nice prospect, you know. And
no, I didn't.
Well, I'm sorry. And then she's proven to have been covering up for pedophiles. She knew about almost every one of her cabinet. She had something on, and she used that just to make them do as she said. That was how how she kept them in line, because she knew every one of them was kiddie fiddling.
We all think, and I've already come out and said, yes, I'm a little Tory. Or so I'm told. I've never been to the Conservative Party, but many people in it would tell you, oh yes, we know about her, she's an old Tory. She did say something to Heath at a party, which slapped Heath right down, and he didn't oppose her. She did whatever she said to him,
She blackmailed almost all of them. That's how she kept them in line. That's how she kept them in line. And
she did a lot. You know, there is going to be an awful lot of these Labour people voting for Theresa May. Theresa May is no Margaret Thatcher.
But she's a wannabe. She's a wannabe.
Not she's no Maggie, because if she was, in this month, she would have pulled this country up by its bootstraps, and she hasn't done so.
Yeah, but there's a cover-up. There's so much corruption. I mean, if you can't nail them for the pedophilia,
listen now.
Nail them for the money laundering.
In Theresa May's office, and she's a very nice lady. I don't think she's in any way.
No, she's renowned as an absolute bully. She is renowned as an absolute tyrant, and she's aware. No, she's aware of money laundering. Richie Allen just did a brilliant show about money laundering by HSBC for Mexican drug cartels, which was proven, and David Cameron and Gordon Brown were dispatched to America.
Oh, that's a bastard. Call me Dave. Call me Dave.
Yeah, Gideon, the cousin of the Queen.
Call me Dave. I could call him a lot of other things.
Yeah, well, they were dispatched off to America to plead for HSBC.
Dave has gone to America.
David Cameron and Gordon Brown were dispatched to America to plead that HSBC should not be punished for money laundering millions for Mexican drug cartels. You know, so it's corrupt.
She didn't have to call me Dave, and Call Me Dave wouldn't have put her forth to be Prime Minister. He would not have put her forth. It was other people.
She bullied her way into it. The Tory, you know, I'm not a Labourite. I'm not a political animal, although I seem to have been reporting on political and religious affairs for decades accidentally. But I'm not even saying that the Labour Party's any better, because Tony Blair's Labour was Margaret Hodge, Tony Blair. You know, it was just as corrupt and horrendous. So I think it's the same as America. It's just two sides of a.
Well, Angela, I'm going to tell you from first hand about Mrs. May. If you lend some support, you say yes, that is fair. Like when she stood up to the Police Federation, and every person who said, well done, this is great, you're pushing out these corrupt police. Do you know she had her staff phone every single person and say, thank you so much for your support? I had a phone call from her. She is a very genuine person.
We can agree to disagree. Sometimes when everything else fails, I trust my instincts. And she's one of the few people that I get a physical aversion. When she's on the news, I have to switch over. She gives me she gives me a physical aversion. There's something not right. There's definitely something not right. And
Well, there's a lot
I
of people
can't be
say
bothered
that
to
about
do.
me. There's a lot of people will say that about me, and there's a lot of people
No,
who,
I don't get a bad vibe off you at all.
no, but there's a lot of people who know from years and years back that I can go around pulling strings. And when I lived in Kensington and Chelsea, and this bitch Hulkyard, you know, the one who wanted my son's jewellery and this kind of thing, when he was big, yes, I pulled strings. I pulled strings because the people I had lived with were accountants, and they were accountants for some government ministers.
Oh, I
And
pull strings. I've got no problem with that.
I knew all about the 2 and 3 sets of books that existed. And I phoned up these people's offices and I said, you're going to help me or I'm going to bring you down.
Yeah, no, I don't mind. I've got, this is one of the reasons they're trying to categorize me, either an informant or an asset or whatever. No, I've still got some friends in high places as well as very good friends in low places, and I'm probably more comfortable with them. But I don't mind pulling strings, and I don't mind when somebody steps up to help. But I canvassed for Sinn Féin when I first came back to Ireland in the late 90s.
No, I actually blackmailed people. You will help me. I did actually say I will go and I will tell the tax office all about your other sets of books. And I lived in the house where these other sets of books are, and I will tell if you don't get the stitch off my back. And magically, boom, off my back. The whole health authority.
But that's how it works, isn't it? That's how politics works.
It's not who you know or what you know. It's what you know about who you know.
Yeah, but I find that disgusting. I find that disgusting.
Well, sometimes so do I, but that's how it works.
Yeah.
And if you had to defend your child, if you have to protect your small child, you will soon use that.
Have you had any progress? Have you had any leads since we first started talking?
As to where my son is? About what?
About where he is.
No, we don't know where he is. But that would lead on to this. Well, you've got this massive case now, this Eugene Lukashenko.
Yeah.
Now, I have to say I've found out certain things. It's not really true what this Yolandi person is saying, that he's a child abuser. He's not a child abuser, but he cannot parent this boy. What they're on Bali, for those who want to go and look on Bali, they will find the judgment as to why the boy is kept in care. And what happened was social services didn't come and take Justin away. The police took because Justin asked them to. The police.
Is Justin the name of
the child? Yeah.
Okay, so Justin asked the police to rescue him,
to put him under emergency protection.
And why?
Because apparently, Justin ran amok. I mean, the child, the mother is Thai. The child is quite short and quite Oriental looking. And I mean, Eugene is quite the nutty professor-esque looking. And the whole thing, it would be comical if it wasn't so serious. What happened was Justin ran amok with a hammer, trashing the house with a hammer. And he then took an air gun. Where the hell did he get an air gun? He was 11. He had an air gun, and he tried to shoot Eugene, shooting all the windows of the house out. So Eugene called 999. Now, if that was my 11-year-old, I'd be saying, yes, well, that's enough of that, and taking the air gun off of him, and that would be that. But no, Eugene was shouting and screaming and carrying on. He called the police. When the police turned up, the child was hiding under a piano. Now, the police tried to talk to him, and the child said, well, I'm forced to go to Russian school. I don't want to go to Russian school. And I'm forced to do a lot of extra homework. I can't have a life. Well, he's 11. No? So the police tried to get the father to talk with the child, but when the child is talking, Eugene is shouting at her. Now, I've had a run-in with Eugene Lukashenko quite a long time ago. I didn't realize who he was when he appeared this weekend. And he had decided that because people were taking more interest in my story, he was going to run me off the internet. So he himself and this was a skank called Tracy McCarthy decided to go around notifying everybody to delete me from everywhere.
Yeah, but that's infighting, isn't it? There's some of that going on.
Well, he didn't. Well, you see, the fact is, social services didn't take us on. The police did.
Yeah, I understand. And right, a child at 11. I know. I've listened to Eugene.
At 11 would not be running around with an air rifle. For fuck's sake, Angela.
I mean, you can have it may not be an air rifle. It could be a BB gun. You know.
No, it wasn't. It was an air gun. He was running.
Well, anyway, like I said, I'm not hugely familiar with that case, although Rupert interviewed Eugene for an hour from my apartment in Lanzarote I think it was August, for American Freedom Radio. And he had just responded to, the one thing I've got to give Eugene credit for is the determination. Like, there's not too many fathers that would almost die.
Well, it's not really determination. It's that he also believes that the child is his property. And I think
that's for common law purposes. That's
these are the
technicality.
Angela, is it? These are the people.
For common law purposes, one of the legal ways to prevent your child being stolen is to refer to your child as your property. But let me just have a little bit of a say.
These are the people who say that the Magna Carta was written in 1066.
No, it wasn't. No, it was 12. It was 12 something, wasn't it? It
wasn't, but they put themselves all over the.
Well, anyway, it's people trying to educate themselves. But the thing is, I don't know the ins and outs. But if a child, right, Eugene is a very gifted pianist. He's obviously he's very gifted.
He's very unstable.
Well, a lot of geniuses are. The line between genius and insanity is very thin. It's very thin. Well, just
try to bully me, and that'd be hard to do.
Yeah, we'll try and get. Let me just play both sides of it here. And you said his son is also a gifted pianist.
The child plays piano very well, but the child doesn't want to pursue that.
I know, but like my son, I was a bit more liberal in my parenting, and my son.
You can't force your ideas on your child. That's
no, I know, but you can't say that's a reason to steal somebody's.
I was a gifted gymnast. My son could bend his legs around the back of his head. I couldn't force my son to be a gymnast.
No, but there is
looking at people, when I did splits in the house, because I would, catapult around the house, I did splits, my son was like, ooh, me doing splits was like somebody trailing the nails down a blackboard to him. He couldn't bear to look at this.
But let me finish.
But you can't
no. Listen, let me finish.
Upon your child.
No, but let me finish the sentence, Heather. If you've got a gifted, slightly eccentric parent who's a wonderful pianist, and if he wants the best for his child, and so therefore he's got his child enrolled in the Russian school, which he believes will help him have cultural identity.
What he wants to live through.
And if the parent has been raised with vast amounts of discipline, like the Chinese or the Russians, and so, practice, that those are not grounds to remove a child. And if a child is running amok, I had a foster child like that, and she used to smash windows in the house and throw televisions out and go joyriding. She was completely uncontrollable. And what had happened was her mum and dad had come to the end of their marriage. The mother had taken the youngest child with her and left this 12-year-old behind. The father was so shocked he took to the bottle, and the daughter ran amok. And within, she didn't get to do any of that stuff in my house, because I said to her, if you smash anything, this arrangement's over, because, I'm trying to raise my family and I want to do right by you, but it's not going to fly for you to smash the house up as a means of expressing yourself. So over a period of, I don't know, 2 years, something, she calmed down and she came out with all the hurt and the abandonment of her mother and the feeling like her dad, she'd lost her dad too because he'd hit the bottle and nobody cared about her and they wouldn't even miss her if she wasn't around and blah, blah, blah. And she's now the most middle class, happy, thriving, married lady with 3 children living in suburbia, having a wonderful life. So a child acting out is not necessarily, you know, all right, Eugene could be...
No, I think the child was acting against, because he tried to shoot Eugene with this, because the child had had enough of this bullying and he'd had enough of it. And the fact is, you don't also call the police for your 11-year-old child.
Yeah, that's a bit
unless
extreme.
You're not capable.
But unless your 11-year-old shooting an air gun at you, that's a bit extreme.
The 11-year-old's about 4 foot tall. The mother is from town. Have you seen the two of them?
Yes,
I mean,
but an air gun...
Well, so, I mean, the thought of it. This little child who looks like some kind of little Viet Cong person running around with an air rifle, and Eugene shouting and screaming in Russian. I mean, the whole thing is comical. It's like some kind of comedy. Eugene apparently was screaming all the time at this boy, according to the neighbours. So, you know...
They can lean on neighbours to say anything. It's like they trotted out a neighbour...
Nobody leans on anybody.
They do, and they
The neighbours didn't say it to the social services. They said it to somebody else. That's nothing to do with social services. I mean, you've got these people like this Viv Baker and this little skank who followed me around the internet, Tracy McCarthy. She was so sure I was a different person, somebody she called the honey monster. And she was running around after me, trying to run me off the place, and then Eugene and some other people trying to run me off. Or because they didn't want, because people were more interested in my story than they were in Eugene's story.
But the truth, yeah, the truth is, I think we can't lose the baby with the bathwater.
No, the truth is that he couldn't parent the child, and the child ran amok. What if they give this child back to him and the child doesn't get an air gun? He gets a real gun now he's older. This is London and Kent. You can go 10 minutes away. I can go 5 minutes up the road and get an AK-47. So I'm sorry, but you can't run the... you just can't have, the chance of him going and getting...
No. I'm sorry. I would estimate that 80% of children taken forcibly by social services, either for fostering or adoption, are taken on... Let me finish. All right, whatever. They've ended up in the system where he's only allowed to see his child 4 times a year.
And he carries on shouting and screaming during those times and upsetting the child.
But what you're failing to see, you're playing devil's advocate, and you're failing to see.
No,
for instance, let me just tell you this: did you know that Ed Timpson, the former Minister for Children and Families, him and his father have financial interests in?
Yeah, they're an adoption agency.
Yes. Now, if that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is.
Yeah, but it's nothing to do with Eugene Lukashenko and why this boy is not living with him.
Well, have you sat down face to face with him and the boy and heard both their sides of the story?
I've read the judgment.
Yeah, well, I read Anna Poffley's judgment on Hampstead, and it sinks to high heaven. I wouldn't trust judgments because it's systemic, it's orchestrated, and it's organised by people like Peter Wrighton. They've been putting people in places of power and influence since World War II to set up child trafficking. Around
where Eugene lives, it is well known there was screaming and shouting in the house. It's well known the house was in a dreadful state. The child trashed the house with a hammer. What is 11-year-old trashing the house with a hammer? Because he's been teaching this extreme protesting to the child. So the child's extremely protesting.
But you and your son went and trashed a Satanic bookshop.
We didn't trash it. We didn't trash anything. The bloke answered the door to us with his outward opening door, and he went, "You?" And I said, "Yes, ask." We ran up the stairs, and I put books in. I said, "I'm taking this," and put it in my bag. "I'm taking this." I didn't tell him. He saw me, and he was like, "Oh, what am I going to do about these people?" And my son said, "Oh, look." And he went bing, 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 bing on the cash registers.
Yeah,
And then
and some people could
we
say
didn't
that was
trash anything. We didn't break anything. We didn't break anything or trash anything.
when you took some books and your son opened the cash register and made chaos, and you were doing it.
No, the cash registers didn't open. But the fact is that this is in the world of magic, MAJICK.
Yeah, it was a justifiable protest, but
no, it's not to do protest. To go and to take books that somebody's using to harm you with,
yeah,
acceptable. It's
I
what
know.
you're supposed to do.
But if
So
somebody read the report,
what, the Satanists are going to make a report? She came to our
absolutely.
She came to our bookshop that we're not allowed to have and didn't pay any tax to have.
Yes.
And she took some of our books that we were selling for £30 each, and we weren't paying tax. You think they're going to write that? Of course they can't write that.
On some level, excuse me just a minute, I'm going to get some.
They will never write that. What are you doing? Oh, I'm going upstairs.
Right.
And that?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we don't lose focus on that children are getting stolen for nefarious reasons and trafficked.
Well, they are.
And trafficked.
Some people whose children were not stolen for nefarious reason are hijacking everything and telling a pack of lies and trying to silence everybody about. This is a person called Giannis.
Yes. Let's talk about Giannis.
You know this Giannis?
Yeah, I don't know him, but I know him online.
Yeah, he's from Horsham.
Gatwick, yeah. He's out by Gatwick, yes.
Horsham.
Now, I meant to catch you up.
He's an ex-solicitor.
Yes.
And he knows Eugene Lukashenko. And he has said, how could you call the police on your 11-year-old child? And he has tried to say, well, you people who are all supporting this Eugene Lukashenko, you don't really know what has gone on. But they do know, and they're trying to silence it. This woman, she has tried to delete people for telling the truth, for saying anything. So what they're doing is trying to actually silence people.
Because they're trying to focus on the bigger picture, which is...
No, because they want this child handed back to him, and they are currently arranging. A woman called Helen Clark is going around trying to arrange for Eugene Lukashenko to be facilitated to spirit this child out of this country. That's exactly what they're up to.
Well,
Helen Clark lives very near me. I know exactly what she's up to.
If my child was stolen, if my child or children were stolen...
I think he could end up dead, or actually, because he's shown a penchant for extreme violence at 11 years old with guns, and I think that he could actually kill somebody else, or be killed himself if this Eugene decides to beat him into learning things. So I think no, they can't just give this kid back to Eugene, and anyway they won't, because he's on 4 charges. and he's to appear in court in 31st.
Yes, but they're bullshit charges. They're bullshit charges. Why isn't Ed Timpson charged with assault, which was caught on camera, the camera which he then confiscated?
When they tried to get into his house?
No, they were just on the roof. And
No, they weren't on the roof. They were on the doorstep trying to get into the house.
No, I disagree. They had
didn't
ladders.
punch them. He punched one of them.
Yes.
He didn't punch them when they were on the roof. He punched them when they were on the doorstep.
Yeah, he is so. I'm shocked because you've had a child stolen. And
come to my doorstep and try to get in, and I'll punch you. That
yes,
I will do this one.
I know, but that's not what happened. And he stole the man's phone, and the police negligently and recklessly refused the paramedics access to Eugene when he'd gone.
No, it wasn't to Eugene. It
No,
was
the paramedics turned up with, and they said, look, the first ambulance was turned away. Paramedics came back the next day when he'd been over 48 hours without water. Now, you could only survive 3 days without water. And he went into day
two. Paramedics came for this other bloke that was with him because he was bad.
No, they came again afterwards.
Oh, for Eugene.
And they were turned away. They were told, you may not. And they said, we have to attend him. He's had no food or water, and we're concerned particularly about the water. He could have died. And they were turned away. So if they're going to prosecute Eugene for criminal trespass or whatever, where he was peacefully protesting to get his son back.
But he's already on a suspended sentence.
But and I know that the government, the establishment, particularly the portion of them that are trafficking children and stealing children and subjecting them to abuse and all sorts, that they can lay any charges at your feet.
Yes, but Eugene Lukashenko called the police for his own child.
Okay, and he probably will regret that the rest of his life.
Well,
there's a story. No,
that's getting on my nerves because they're hiding the true story of what went on. They're hiding this, and they're tricking people into supporting them.
It's similar to the Hampstead case. It's not pretty. Everybody wanted it to be that the father was evil, the mother. Let me finish. Don't interrupt. The father was evil, the mother was perfect, and the children got kidnapped. It's always messy. This thing of state theft of children is always messy.
But nobody stole anybody. He called the police. The child wanted to go with the police. How is that fair?
Right. There's a story in America where a mother's daughter was running amok, about 15. She was a very pretty girl. She was smoking pot. She was bunking school. She was trashing her bedroom, and she was staying out all night. The mother had a friend in the police force, and she said, bring her down to the station, we'll put her in the cells for a night and we'll give her a fright. So the mother thought, right, this is what I need to do, my daughter's out of control.
Well, this is really not allowed.
The mother took the daughter down, on the advice of her friend in the police force, and she understood.
Who had no right to be doing this.
Right, and she understood her daughter was going to be kept in the cells overnight and given a fright, and then she could get back to trying to parent her. Her daughter, it took her 1.5 years to find her. Her daughter was placed in a group home and trafficked out of it. It was supposed to have been a secure group home, right, where nobody could get in and out without keys. The child disappeared and was sexually trafficked for 1.5 years.
Well, Eugene Lukashenko's child is not being sexually trafficked because he's quite a dangerous little boy. But Lukashenko has tried to say that I stole my story off of an online website because he's read Sabine's website where I have told my whole story in the commentaries. And he tried to say, oh, I saw this online. She's stolen this offline. She's stolen it. I didn't steal anything. I said I will come to Canterbury to support him before I knew exactly what had gone on. And he turned around and he accused me of, you want to promote your own case. You want to promote own case. And I said, well, actually, yes, I can promote my own case. Oh, you're not coming here to do it. So he was banning me from Canterbury. I'm not allowed to come and promote my case in Canterbury. And the fact is, I'm not going around. No police came because I called them and took my son. There was not even one element of any alleged abuse from me towards my son.
No, I know,
All
but
the
the
whole
point
case,
I'm making when
they ran a whole case saying we just don't like her. We
right,
don't like her. She didn't ask us for permission to have a child. I don't need Stuart Barton or Bexley Social Services permission to have a child, or any social service permission of a child. But just District Judge Barry asked Stuart Barton, why are you doing this? And he said, she didn't ask our permission to have a child. And he said, so you think you should take away her child? Oh, he said. But that was just the directions here. And so the judge couldn't say, right, I've had enough of this and give the child back because it was directions. So they said a lot worse things as the case went on. They got away with it because it was a shut court. And then they went and got not just a normal gagging order, but a super injunction against me. And June Black, who gave the super injunction, I had directions before her after that. And she said, oh, this sounds like a case where I gave an injunction. She said, oh, I deeply regret this. Are the police involved? Do the police know what's going on here? Why didn't she call the police? Why didn't she call the police? So now we don't know where my son is. Ian Joseph says he believes my son's been locked away somewhere to silence him forever.
and this is what I'm more
And
interested
also, shall we go on to Hampstead? Because thanks to Hampstead, a convicted paedophile called Renata Ostertag has, do you know what, look at your face, have you heard of this woman?
Yeah, she's the one that tried to put a third-party comment where you were attacking me.
I wasn't attacking you.
No, I know, but she was trying to make it look like you were.
Yeah.
Do you remember I sent you a copy and you said, what's all this third-party quoting?
Oh no, that was somebody called Philip or something.
No, it was Renee or something like that. It was.
No, it wasn't Renata Ostertag.
Okay, well, let me just catch you up on the Yanis thing, right? And
The Ostertag woman is a convicted, well, used to be a man in Germany and was a social worker, kidnapped 6 Turkish Kurdish children from refugee camps in Germany, ran all around this fucking globe with them, to Kenya, to Ethiopia, to Egypt, to America, Australia, to Canada, where she got citizenship, where she was deported to. The last of these children, the youngest, told the police that she'd sexually abused him in the year 2001. And she was convicted, and she was, upon her conviction being over, was deported to Canada. Well, she's a German citizen. She has, thanks to, anyway, I got arrested because of this person, because she'd written in a diary that she was coming to Bexley to visit Heath. She was coming to visit Edward Heath at his constituency office. But what the police tried to say was that Heath was Heather.
Oh, okay.
They tried to say Heath was Heather. And I was trailed out of my bed at 6 o'clock in the morning and arrested and dragged around this bloody country, and dragged around a second time when the police said, would I be a witness against this woman who I didn't even know? So now she's contacting me, your friend Ren. She's not my friend. She nearly got me bloody jailed.
And so what's she got to do with Hampstead?
She got my contact details because they published them.
Wow.
Oh yes, I've got a fucking paedophile after me because of them now.
Wow.
And this is a very dangerous individual.
Well, I just want to fill you in on the Yanis thing, because do you remember I told you that Yolandi Kenward told me that Belinda was a Freemason, as is...
No, she was in the Eastern Star, which is a separate...
Yeah, okay, well, all right. So she told me Belinda was in the Eastern Star and that they meet in a hotel in London, and that Theresa May is also in that fraternity, or what do you call it, sorority.
Fraternal organisation.
Yes, I know. But then Hampstead got a hold of that, and then Yolandi came back and said it was Yanis that gave me that information. So I wondered if Yanis is feeding her disinfo. I mean, do you know that Belinda was in the Eastern Star or is in the Eastern Star?
I believe Belinda's not in the Eastern Star because the nature of Belinda is she likes to take everything over and she likes to do it very quickly. She wouldn't be able to take over the Star because the Star have, they're like Seax Wicker. They have an elected yearly person in the chair. If she tried to overthrow that person, she'd be turfed out within half an hour. There's no way, and she wouldn't. The nature of Belinda Mackenzie, she wouldn't be able to sit there and not try to take over.
Well, now that Yolandi has said that her source for that information was Yanis Emmanuel, I think he runs with the hares and the hounds because he was friends with Ricky Dearman. Ricky Dearman used to stay in his
We were
house.
friends with Ricky Dearman.
Yes, Ricky Dearman used to stay in his house with the Hampstead children.
Oh.
Yes, and so at one point he reached out to me and said, if you'll drop the stuff about children being cannibalized, I'll work with you because there is abuse going on. And he also said, I know for a fact that at least 2 of the Hampstead research bloggers are paedophiles, practicing paedophiles. So I thought he was coming over to the good side. But then he seems to have gone back again. I'm not saying he's necessarily.
Well, I think he's got his own side. That's what I think.
No, I think
But the fact is that the judgment about Lujanko is not coming from Yanis. The judgment comes from Bali. It's a published judgment from the court.
Yeah, but I don't trust. Just look at Anna Poffley's judgment on the Hampstead case. Most of the establishment is blackmailed.
All right. So then why does Lujanko not say, well, this is not true and that is not true? What he's got is he's hiding behind these people, this Viv person particularly, and she's saying, oh, his past is his past.
Well, if I, you know, I haven't heard anything yet that merits his child being stolen. I would like to. I'll invite.
No, the child wasn't stolen because the child went with the police.
But like I said, there's this case in America that the woman was advised, yes, let the police give your daughter a fright. She needs pulling in line. And it took her 1.5 years to find her daughter.
So the child found the police found the child hiding under a piano, and the police spoke with the child. They tried to mediate to get the parent to speak with the child, and all Eugene was doing was shouting. When the boy was trying to explain to him, I do want to go to Russian school, I do want to do all this homework, Eugene was screaming over him.
Yeah, okay.
So no choice.
That would have been grounds for mediation. It would have been grounds for intervention, but it would not be grounds for child theft. Look, the way I'm going to solve this, I'm going to.
Well, what were they to do? Leave the child with him?
No, if the situation, this is what the woman in America, she just wanted an intervention. She did not want her child stolen and sexually prostituted and trafficked and disappeared. There's a big difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite Evgeny or Eugene on to talk to me.
Well, why did you do it when both of us are on?
Okay, as long as you compose yourself and like.
Well, I'm very composed, so long as I don't ask difficult questions. Is that?
No, not at all. No, I'm perfectly willing. We've just broadcast, so I'm perfectly willing to address the difficult issues. But I do not want to lose sight of the fact that
he won't do it. He will shout over us. You'll see. He will shout over us.
Well,
because that's what he does.
Child, I believe all things are possible, and I think he's had to live with if his parenting was overbearing, and if he shouted, and if he over-disciplined the child. By Jesus, he's had to suffer for it since. And I think you'll find in 90% of cases, children that are taken away from parents, even if the parents.
I know about children that are taken because I've gone through all the years.
Yeah. So, and would you agree that your child would have been better off with you? Absolutely, 100%.
My child was taken from me out of spite, and I have tape recordings from the people who did this, telling me we're going to hurt your child if you don't give us money.
Yeah.
And the police did nothing.
Yeah.
That is nothing like this. I mean, this man called the police for his son.
I know, and like, Do you
There
know
was no
what?
parallel between the two cases.
No, but
And when Eugene discovered there was no parallel in that, I had actually a more sensationalized case, and that Bexley Council are actually very damned by a lot of people. He wanted to shove me off the internet, and he bullied me, and he tried to get people to delete me, and he got me deleted off Facebook, saying that I was not a real person. If I'm not a real person, what the fuck am I doing sitting here then?
yeah, but
Yeah?
the point is that people that
Why are they covering up? Because they're actually lying. If they told people, all right, he got the police to take away his child, now he's complaining about it, people are not going to support him.
but
So they're
no,
lying.
they might,
They're
because
actually lying. No, they're actually lying, and they're trying to suppress other people. They are acting exactly how they're saying that the people against them are acting. Some of them are quite dangerous people. Some of these people he's mixed himself up with are they are gangsters, and they're quite dangerous. And they, I think he's very unwise to get mixed up with some of these people. But I think he's actually quite dangerous himself.
I don't think so. I think regardless of what he's done, I think, for a father that would almost die on a rooftop to
His property back.
But the property thing is a common law thing. Don't
Exist.
But don't sweat. If you listen to that Carl Lentz or whoever that guy is,
No, I don't listen to this nonsense. I listen to Halsbury's law books.
Right.
This does not exist. I have read Halsbury's from end to end. I've read Rumpole end to end.
I've done
that, but Rumpole was actually used in learning process in law schools up until the reforms of Tony Blair. I have read the law. I wanted to study law at 14, but was not allowed to even go to a school because these damn pigs took me to Southern Ireland, wouldn't allow me to. So yes, read Halsbury's. Don't look at common law. Common law doesn't exist.
Well,
and also, the Magna Carta wasn't written in 1066.
No, I know that. But I will never knock people for trying to educate themselves, no matter how late in life.
Oh, they're not trying to educate themselves. They are miseducating other people, because they're going on the internet now and saying, yeah, well, there's this thing called the Magna Carta from 1066. No, there isn't.
Yeah, well, look, don't sweat the small stuff. The point is, there's a common enemy. Children are being stolen on spurious grounds, even justifiable grounds. I'm sorry, if I called the police on one of my children...
I've never called the police on my son.
Right, but there's a different paradigm then, because it used to be that the policemen were your friends. And if you were struggling and one of your children were acting out...
There's never been any such thing as Dix in the Dock Green. People think the police are Dix in the Dock Green. No, there's never been any such thing. It has never existed.
Well, there are friendly police. These
police are a gang like any other gang. They just gangs wear uniforms. They wear red hats. Facebook. They wear this. They wear that. Police are a gang like any other gang. If you look at places like Bourneville, police they didn't have police station or police. And these places were built as villages where there would never be this kind of thing. It's very recent there has been. And that's for a very good reason. And if you look right to the back, when the peelers were actually founded, they were found very corrupt within a very short space of time. You look at the history of Scotland Yard, at the thing that they called the Sweeney, total corruption. The police are another gang.
Well,
if you look
Freemasons,
for example,
the Freemasons make a policeman's oath null and void, because a policeman takes an oath to protect and serve, but the Freemasonic oath is that unless somebody's murdered somebody, your first line of loyalty is to your Freemasonic brethren. So straight away there should be no
fraternity.
Yeah, so there should.
If I founded a coven,
But There are good coppers. There are good
Angela,
coppers.
if you and I, as old witches, founded a coven, as we're called, founded a coven, and we had some of the people, then their first loyalty would be the fraternity, you know, it would be to us. It wouldn't be, yeah, of course, because that is a gang.
Yeah, yeah. And this
Gang.
is what it is. It's gangs. We'll do another show because I want to ask you what you know about the OTO, the Ordo Templari Orientis.
Audio Temples Orient, yes.
Yeah, I want to. Do you know much about that? Because somebody I've worked with.
Occult wise, I do.
Right, I'd like to pick your
I
brains
mean,
on that.
magic wise, I do.
Yeah, because
They're quite disgusting.
somebody I've worked with in the past owned up to having been initiated into that. And then I was shocked. Whenever somebody says something like that, I'm shocked. So I don't say anything straight away. And then I emailed her and said, "Do you know, that's a bit of a hot potato you've dropped in my lap, telling me that you were initiated into the OTO."
Well, you know, there are typists and typist tools that are involved with the OTO. The OTO, and especially with the internet, because with the internet, you've seen a resurgence in the Golden Dawn. And the Golden Dawn was Crowley's organisation, by the way. He is a vile man. I mean, he did horrible things to animals, and I can't bear that.
Yeah.
Bolting. I could do things to people, but not to animals.
Right.
I could shoot a person, and I couldn't kill an animal. They're vile, some of these people. They really, the OTO, the Golden Dawn, there's many of them.
Well, when I challenged this ex-colleague by email, she said, "Oh,
well, they worship individual demons. Do you know about Guatia?
No, let me just finish. Let me just finish, Heather. I emailed her nicely. I just said, "You've dropped a real hot potato in my lap. I'm a whistleblower. I can't sit on the fact that you told me you were initiated into the OTO." So
you're a whistleblower. Where are you in among them?
No, I mean, I just believe in the truth.
Oh, okay.
I believe in transparency. I'm not in the OTO.
Okay.
I've never joined a cult knowing.
No, I was being facetious.
Oh, right, facetious.
Usually means you're inside the thing telling.
The only cults I was in unwittingly was one, I would say, the Catholic Church, and two, I would say, Erhard seminar training.
What is that?
Oh, it was just this big thing in the 70s and 80s. It was a mind control, human potential and development organization.
I've never heard of that, but I know about cults because I know about cults anyway.
Well, anyway, that's a side thing. But so when I said to her, "You've dropped a hot potato, you know, would you come on and do a show with me about it?" And she said, "Oh, I crossed my fingers behiin my back when I made the oath."
She's telling a lie.
Yeah, and then she said, then she said, I didn't even really know what it was. And she sent me a bullshit email, and then she unfriended me. And I just feel uneasy. I don't blame her because she's an MK Ultra survivor like myself. I just want to say, let's talk about this. Let's bring this out in the open. And I started studying the OTO today and realized that, you know, if she says she was just at some
they operate in high magic.
Yeah.
Yes, they operate in high magic.
Yeah, so I think
ceremonial magic.
I need to revisit.
And they're very much more fraternal than anything else. So she must be.
She said she didn't even realize what it was, and she crossed her fingers behind her back. Yeah, it sounds a bit suspect, doesn't it?
How would you not know?
I know. All right, look, I'll try and revisit. So if she would come and do a show with both of us, I'd love that, because I'm not very up on occult groups. And also I invite you.
I'm a little witch, so I am.
I invite Eugene and to come on as well. And
I'd love to have Eugene.
But I want to keep.
Because he is tricking the public, and I don't think he's going to get very far because there's 4 charges against him. He thinks that Medway is going to release his son immediately because Cheshire police have spoken to Medway. They're not going to, because they can't do, because there's a care order. and they would have to go through legal proceedings to discharge that care order, so they wouldn't be able to just give him this way back. And the judge might object, the guardian ad litem might object.
My bottom line is, for any father to almost die on a roof protesting, he deserves a fair hearing. He deserves a revisit. He deserves more than 4 visits a year with his son. And I would like, I mean, this is not going to happen, but I would like to hear his son may be in a position where he says, I was really making a lot of noise about nothing. I would give anything to be back doing my homework and my piano practice.
No, the boy wants a normal life. He doesn't want to be going to Russian school, and he doesn't want.
Well, believe you me, being in care in the UK with a corrupt to the core establishment and being the head HQ of paedophilia and child trafficking in the world, that's not a normal life. It's just.
Who is the head of? What are you talking about?
The UK is renowned as the paedophilia and child trafficking HQ of the world.
Who says this?
Plenty of people. I'll send you some links. Look, Heather, my son's just come in. My son's just arrived. I'm very blessed. I've got my children. I never lost them, thank God. And we're going to call this one to an end. And we've covered some pretty fiery stuff. But like I said, invitation to Eugene, invitation to the other lady that says she crossed her fingers while being initiated into the OTO. I'm not your enemy. We need to appeal to people that have been in these occult covens.
I think if I phoned the OTO would be my enemy. No, they are my enemy. The OTO, the Golden Dawn, I'd be diametrically opposed to these people.
Good. No, good. And no, but I'm just always...
Because Christians are actually not diametrically opposed to these people. They are the two sides of the one coin. Now, what was explained to me by some black pastors who now run the Christ Apostolic Church in Luton, a man called Simon Ajay, he said to me, I hope you're not fighting with our brothers, the Satanists, because Satan's Jesus' brother.
You know, a lot of the evangelicals are infiltrated and they're Satanists too. Look,
well, no, because actually, by biblical fact, Satan is the brother of the Messiah. So it's two sides of the one coin.
No. That's a whole other show. That's a whole other show.
Diametrically opposed to them is actually people who practice the white craft. That is diametrically opposed to demonology.
Yeah, left-hand, right-hand path, but no, there's
nothing to do with path.
Well, okay, but
diametrically opposed.
Right. Well, I don't believe Satan's the brother. He's Lucifer. He's the fallen one.
Well, this is what these Christians and they are.
The Christian church. This is why I don't. This is why I don't go to church. The Christian churches are, for the most part, corrupt.
No, these churches you like in Kenya, these people.
It's corrupt. The church is corrupt ever since Peter and James covered up the fact that Mary Magdalene was supposed to be the head of the church after Jesus.
Have you ever heard of a man called Gilbert Daya?
No.
He did a lot of things bad to people in Kenya where he's from. And he's got this slogan called More Than Conquerors. Because you tried to help an orphanage.
Yeah, I did help. We raised them.
And their slogan was More Than Conquerors.
No, their slogan was...
It was More Than Conquerors because it was written on the roof.
I don't think it was...
It was More Than Conquerors. So I suggest you look at what this Gilbert Day ministry... Because Gilbert Day is now under the scrutiny of the Charity Commission. He was arrested for attempted rape. And his wife was put in jail for child snatching in Kenya. Mary. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, but I'm very familiar with the narrative, and I disconnected.
Not a narrative. He actually imported children through this country for money, saying they were miracle babies. He convinced these poor people that they had given birth to these babies when they hadn't. And one of the babies became sick with sickle cell and was taken to hospital. So they could have had some bone marrow from the alleged parents. When they took some blood from the alleged parents. I found out these wasn't the parents.
Yeah, yeah.
But what was actually said was, oh, Daddy Dare has been doing a great job stealing and relocating children. What a fucking disgrace. Gilbert Dare wants to be kicked out of this country back to Kenya to actually face. The Kenyan authorities employed the British courts. They actually paid for lawyers to try and get him deported back there.
Okay, look,
Yeah.
we've got a whole nother show to do. Tell me one good thing. Tell me one thing you're happy about today or this week.
Nothing. I'm not happy about anything.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that.
Well, I'm not.
Okay. All right.
I have horrible nightmares about that horrible woman I grew up with as a child. She's packing my bags and throwing me in the... It's snowing in the nightmares. Snow is a very bad sign in a dream. And so just very, there is nothing good I can say about anything. The only reason I stay alive in this life is for these 3 cats.
Oh.
If I didn't have these 3 cats, I will fruit myself down, I will close off all liquids to myself, and I will leave. I will not stay in this life.
I'm so sorry. I
wouldn't.
Sorry.
I know I will never see my son again. I know this.
No, don't say that. Please don't say that. Don't say that.
No, because I think either they've done something to him, like Ian Joseph says, or they turned him against me. I don't know which.
Well,
but why should you see? People say, "Oh, you should just live till live and live and live." I don't think so, because I think when you think I've had enough, it's over. There is ways to bring a peaceful death to yourself. And
there is, but you're still a mother. You're still a mother. I could have exited many times, but I have children.
Yes, but your children are with you.
Yeah, well, they're grown now. But look,
and my son's grown now as well.
I know.
And now I've got these stupid people in Hampstead saying, why is she going after her grown-up child? Because we don't know what has happened to him, that's why. Because we don't know if he's alive, dead. Because I was actually told he was dead when in about 2009.
Oh,
I was sent a letter from a social worker, Annie Bingham, saying go and get bereavement treatment.
Oh.
Not that.
No.
But
no. Binny and Brown, if you're out there, Mum still loves you and still looking for you. If anybody knows where Binniam is, please get in touch.
Maybe he's grown. Maybe he's turned into like that bloody man. I mean, the sperm donor is currently running around the north of England. He's posting on Facebook that all the people in the central library where he lives are all talking on the phone about him in different languages, and especially the women and the babies are against him. This man told me that he had spared babies in the north of Ethiopia when he was in the army there. So he's running around wild. He's taken this dislike to end power because they asked him to pay his bill. Well, I mean, what does he expect they're going to do? So he doesn't want to pay his bill. So he's going around on public transport, and he's going to any places where NPower have put posters up, and he's ripping everything down. And he says that the babies and the mothers in the library, they're all Satans.
God help us all. Heather, I've got to go. I'm so sorry, and I will never give up hope. And next time, let's cover the...
Well, we hope we can get this Lutsenenko person to come on, but I don't think so, because he is planning to exit this country if he's left alone with the boy. And this woman, Helen Clark, is planning to help him.
But don't be careful. Be careful that you don't shoot a fellow sufferer in the foot. Because I'm telling you, if my children had ever been stolen, nothing would have stopped me.
He decided my story was more important than
his.
His.
But that's detail. If somebody took my children, I would do anything to
but imagine if I was the child, if I was Justin, and I was being forced to do all this homework and forced to Russian school, and I'd taken...
Oh, big deal, big deal. Big deal. Do your fucking homework. Go to school where our culture is from. I don't see a problem with that.
Well, I don't see him being sent to Thailand school, do you? Where his mother's from?
No, but it was his father that was left raising him. So if his
He
father...
wasn't left raising anybody. The way he acquired him in the first place is very dubious, Angela.
He's done DNA tests. He is the child's father.
He is the child's father because he employed a prostitute to have the child.
So look, let's not sweat the small stuff.
He paid a prostitute to bear a child for him.
People will do that with surrogates. People will, I don't want to sweat the small stuff.
And that's not small stuff. The fact is the child is half Thai and he should be being taught, he should be allowed to actually experience in Thai culture.
Well, the answer is not that you steal children that come from any...
But nobody stole anybody because he called the police and the child wanted to go with the police.
Yes, he probably called the police to say, my son is using an air gun and we've got an out-of-control situation.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I know, but look, there, but for the grace of God, go you or I.
No, not go me, because my son my son's terrified of arms.
But
I lived with the UDA, so I've experienced bombs, arms, I've experienced of this type of thing. Guns don't frighten me, I can use the gun. My son is terrified of the gun.
All right, but at the same time, somebody else could have said, taking your son with you to protest in a Satanic bookshop was inappropriate.
We didn't protest anything, we just knocked on the door and we went and I took...
I know, but some other people could judge you for that, so I'm just saying...
But we didn't protest anything, what did we protest?
Well, look...
Well, nothing.
Well, you did, because you...
We didn't protest anything. I didn't say anything. I just said, I'm taking this, and I'm taking this, and I'm taking this.
Yeah, well, some could say that was irresponsible in front of your child. And to have your child participate in that. Because it was a conscientious objection to Satanists that were targeting you. But some might say it was inappropriate.
The shop doesn't exist.
But some might say it was inappropriate to bring your child with you on that mission.
To a place that doesn't exist.
No, I know you have the moral ground. Look, I have to go, and I'm going to talk to you again soon, and I want to do Kenya. I want to concentrate on Kenya and on the OTO thing. Yeah, and on the OTO thing. And I'll invite...
Can we say before we go, to Lisa Radley, from David Schurter's friend, goodbye, I'm David Schurter, it's me, I'm the son from the garden. Bye.
I can't make out if you're a bitch or a witch.
I'm going.
Love you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Very naughty.